Hello, welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. How's everybody's day going so far? Hump day, halfway through the week. Halfway through the week. I am a little bit early, so I'll give it a couple minutes for everybody to kind of get in and get settled and all of that good stuff because I did kind of come on a little bit, like 15 minutes early. Oh, and there goes the dogs flipping their ears. She's an ear flipper. I was going to kick them out, but then I didn't. So she might need to be kicked out. You going to be kicked out today, or are you going to go sit on that nice chair back there? It looks like she just shook her head no to me. It's funny. Well, if you guys are new to the channel, my name is Tanya or Titanium Bill. And yes, I have two crazy dogs that have been loving to be in this room with me lately. I don't know what the deal is, but they want to hang out. So I'm letting them hang as long as they're good. She's not being very good. Oh, go get in your chair, Mia. So we're going to talk about Delphi today. I'm actually going to kick her out real quick. She's just going to get on my nerves, I think. Are you going to get in the chair? I wish you guys could see her face right now. She's like, I don't really want to. Do I have to get in the chair? Do I have to do that? Okay, anyway, so if you guys don't mind just taking a second, hit the like button, all the fun things that we ask you to do in the beginning of our lives. And again, my name is Tanya. If you're new, thank you for joining us today. And if you're not new, welcome back. And thank you for coming back and joining me for another video or another live. I do appreciate it. I did do a couple, I just did one short video today. I posted it it's not about true crime. I don't think that one was. No, it wasn't. But if you're not following me over on TikTok, make sure you follow me over there as well, because I do post videos that I don't post over onto YouTube. So if that's something that you're into, you can go ahead and follow me over there as well. But I saw that Fur Baby Mom was in here. Catherine, West Virginia Holler Girl, DM. Welcome in, everybody. Hey, Tony. Welcome in. Hey, Linda. Hey, DM. Catherine, did I say hi? I think I said hi to you, Catherine. No, I can't remember. There's only been like 5 names. Look at that. We got everybody in here. Well, welcome in, everybody. We went over, so the last live that we had over the Delphi case was the other day. So, it's been a couple days, but we're back with part 2 of the video Down the Hill. And that video, it goes over the timeline and the deaths of Abby Williams and Liberty German. In part 1, we heard from people in the town, people that live in the town, locals. We heard from family members, the local investigators, and how they have been searching. They were searching for these 2 girls. We're in the beginning of the case. So they had just found the girls on the last podcast that we were listening to, and they were just talking. That was kind of how it ended with them, finding the girls in February of 2017. So they went missing on February 13th, 2017, after going on to the Mononhigh Bridge Trail. It's a local trail in the area. I've been there myself. They went to an old railroad bridge, and when they were crossing the bridge, they were approached by a gentleman, a guy. I don't even call him a gentleman, a guy, forcing them to go down the hill, and where they were later, unalived. So that's the background that we have for part 1. So we're going to start with part 2 today. And before we do that, I was going to read a little article that I found that kind of goes and flows with this, because we're kind of going back to the beginning of this case. Richard Allen had 3 days worth of proceedings last week, and they went over some things. They did move him out of the correctional institution that he was in, so he's no longer in a prison. He's going to be held at the Carroll County Jail. He has also confessed to 60 times to different people that he did commit this crime. So we're hearing a lot of things, but his lawyers are saying, the defense are saying, no, this was Odinist. This was some sort of cult that did this. This was a ritualistic killing. And so we are going back through all of the, just all the stuff to, see what our opinions are. Because a lot of this has been since 2017. So we didn't have anything go on for 5 years. And then all of a sudden, we've had a lot of stuff pop off. So hopefully we'll be able to make it a little bit easier to understand. And so I'm going to read this one here. This is going to be kind of in line with how we're going in chronological order. They, like I said, on part 1, they had the suspect's picture that they were showing. I'm not the picture. They were showing the video. And then they had released the audio that went along with that video. Let me get to the right page. Actually, I'll read it and then we'll play the video here, because there is a little bit of a video. So this is going to be from, I want to get the date on this, July 17th, 2017. So just a few months, 5 months. 5 months after the killings of 14-year-old Liberty German and 13-year-old Abigail Williams, investigators on Monday released a composite sketch of a man believed to be connected to their deaths. And this is the police, composite, the first one to come out. The new evidence was published late Monday morning in an email news release from Indiana State Police. The person in the sketch is described as a white male between 5'6" and 5'10", weighing 180 to 220, with reddish brown hair and an uncolor eye color. Should have grabbed the picture of Richard Allen. Just so we would have it. I want to get one before he was in jail. Because you look a little different once you go into jail, I feel like. Okay, so this is him. Wish we could see his height better, but I don't know. He doesn't look very tall to me. I'm not sure exactly how tall his height is. Actually, this is a better picture to show the height comparison. He looks pretty short to me. Doesn't look like he's 5'10", I wouldn't say. Maybe those guards are tall, but 5'6", I would definitely say 5'6" to 5'8". I would. While the hat in the sketch may not be accurate, investigators are asking the public to help identify the person by focusing on his facial features. We're going to get to the bottom of this sooner or later, Riley said. If the composite helps us get there sooner, that's what we're hoping for. Carroll County Sheriff Toby Lazimby, and we saw Lazimby, I don't know if that's how you pronounce his last name, but we saw him in the first documentary that we watched, said the portrait was drawn by an FBI sketch artist and was based on recent information from a witness who saw the suspect about the time of German and Williams' deaths. It relates to a dialogue between a witness and a sketch artist, he said. That's based upon an actual real situation. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that. She kept looking at the cat. I'm like, I'm just going to kick her out. I'm just going to kick her out for the day. The cat's in her bed. It's kind of funny. So it just says it relates to a dialogue between a witness and a sketch artist. That's based upon an actual real situation. Anyone with information about the killings or the person in the sketch should call the Delphi Homicide Tip Line at 1-844-459-5786. Details have been sparse since German and Williams first disappeared February 13th while hiking near Monon High Bridge in a wooded remote area east of Delphi. Their bodies were found a day later, roughly a half a mile from the bridge. The sketch accompanies two more crucial pieces of evidence released by investigators in hopes the public would recognize the suspect. In the months following the girls' deaths, police have released an image of a suspect and an audio recording of a man saying "down the hill." Both pieces of evidence were captured by German's cell phone about the time of her death, police said. The sketch comes nearly 5 months after the last piece of evidence was disclosed by a team of investigators comprised of local, state, and federal authorities, including the FBI. With those exceptions, police have remained tight-lipped, declining to release further evidence from German's phone or comment on the details of the girls' injuries. And now that we're, this is so many more years down the road, we still don't know what was on Liberty's phone. We only know guys down the hill and then that little 1-second clip. Detectives have sifted through 18,000 tips and have interviewed at least 1,000 people as part of the high-profile double homicide investigation. Wow, that's like a quarter of their town, if not more. While several unrelated arrests have been made during the investigation, a suspect in the slayings has not been identified. Meanwhile, a reward fund for information leading to an arrest has continued to grow, surpassing $230,000. Mark Northam, who has worked at Delphi on a weekly basis for the past 36 years, says over lunch that he hopes the sketch renews a sense of hope among the small town residents who have been without closure for months. It's obviously on everyone's mind. Life has changed in that regard. You can't drive through here without talking about it. I think it's nice to have more information if it's an accurate sketch. It seems like the opportunity to resolve this sort of thing is fading. Sierra Farr, a Delphi resident for 3 years, said the tragedy has instilled a sense of fear in the community. A part of me is scared with being out, Farr said, but I have to face that fear. Farr added that she's hopeful the sketch will bring a break in the case, although she's doubtful the man in the drawing remains in the area. Well, she was wrong there. She says she doesn't think he's in the area. Well, he was, allegedly, Someone here knows something, she said, and I just wish they would speak up. Yeah. And we'll look through this little gallery here. But they used to have a whole bunch of like flowers and stuff right there. And but all of that stuff was taken down whenever I was there. Like all the flowers and stuff were gone. I'll just kind of shuffle through these so you guys can see them. Man, look at their biker rally. Wow. A lot of bikes. I remember being right here too. I remember that house. I like old houses. And then that's going to be the crime scene, obviously, because the crime scene tapes up. Like, and you can see through this, like, see the trees, there's no leaves on them. And this is how it was. That's how it would have looked in February. That's why when we first started going back over this case, I thought that the girls were found, and I've been following this since it happened. I thought the girls were found directly just down the hill, like down the hill and around the corner a little bit. But no, they were found. One article that we heard the last live said a quarter mile. This article says a half a mile. So they were at least a quarter mile from the bridge. Look at the volunteers showing up. Wow. There was a lot of people out there searching for them girls. Okay. We'll go over here and we'll listen to part 2 of the Delphi murders. It's the 2021 documentary. And if you know anything about this case, say, hey, I know something that's not Richard Allen, or I do know something and it is Richard Allen. Make sure that you do call the tip line. It's still open at 1-844-459-5786. And thank you guys all for being here. I appreciate it. I really do. I really appreciate it. Hey, Juno, welcome in, everybody. I was on the other screen if I didn't see people coming in. Hey, Citizen. Hey, Squeaky. He's 5'4". He looks short. He does look short. Now, I wonder if he was 5'4", I wonder if a girl would place him at being taller. Do you know what I mean? Just being, I don't know. Yeah. Because, like, they might think that because he's a male, he would be taller. But, not saying that, because there's plenty of men that are not tall. Vincent, he's one of them. My boo is he's my height. So nothing about short men, but you know what I mean? I'm wondering if he was maybe a little bit shorter than the witness thought, but she maybe put the height a little bit higher, but I don't know. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about footprints. Brandywine, you're right. I haven't heard anything about them. I think it's because they had them walk so far. They walked far. I think with the leaves and stuff down there too, I think that it might not have shown.
I know that. With the girls.
Why did you do that? Like, jump all the way down.
I know that voice. Who is that?
The case that rocked a small town, grabbed national headlines, and had millions downloading the hit podcast Down the Hill.
I'm Andrew.
Oh, and before this gets started, I wanted to tell you guys really quickly. We have a ton of stuff to go over. So many cases, so many different things. So buckle up. Make sure you're subscribed. You got your bell alerted, because I think I might be doing 2 lives a day for the next few days, just to get kind of caught up with everything, because there's a lot coming out. I've got Seth Rogers' interview with Court TV. I've got the Gonzalez family. They did an interview with Court TV. Those 2 aren't, I don't think, released yet. Sarah Boone, Elijah Vu, Caleb Harris update, and then Richard Allen, of course. So we've got a lot to go over. And I think there's even more than that.
I'm one of the hosts of this podcast.
And I am Barbara McDonald.
The Blockbuster podcast comes to television. This is Down the Hill, the Delphi murders.
In February of 2017, 2 teenage girls, Abigail Williams and Liberty German, were savagely murdered. Harrowing images and sound that were caught on Libby's phone show a chilling encounter with their likely killer on an abandoned railroad bridge in Delphi, Indiana. As the weeks passed, the killer remained unidentified, even though his image was widely shared.
So let's show this picture again.
We know what he was wearing, his posture and his mannerisms.
Maybe it's the right hand in his pocket. Someone knows who this individual is.
We've even heard the sound of his voice. Thousands of tips have poured in. Authorities have clues and information they are not sharing with the public. As more and more time passes, locals and the media will grow frustrated and turn up the heat on law enforcement for their decision to keep so tight-lipped about what they know.
There is a wall of secrecy, though, that I felt when I was there. They do know way more than we know. They'll say that they have the DNA.
And I'm surprised I haven't heard more about the DNA.
It seemed like this was a slam dunk for investigators. How often does a murder victim leave images and the voice of the killer behind for police?
I'm sure viewers are thinking, why don't they release more information? People going, come on, if you know, why don't you tell us?
It seems like there's a lot more evidence that they could provide the public without jeopardizing the case.
Some felt investigators should be releasing more of the recording. There were questions as to whether there were more audible moments on the clip, or perhaps even moving images. No answers were coming from police.
It left me wanting to know more. Like, what else did he say? There has to be more audio.
Would you want to see that video?
Absolutely. Not that I want to, but it's more of I feel like a necessity.
I asked Carroll County Sheriff Tobe Lesenby,
I pray she doesn't ever see anything like that.
how long is the recording?
Can you
I
comment?
would regret that.
And the video evidence wasn't the only detail of the case that police were keeping sealed.
What about cause of death?
That's another piece of the bigger picture that we want to keep a hold of for now.
It seemed like police were keeping mum on nearly every aspect of the evidence they had collected, leaving some to wonder if they had much evidence at all.
Is it fair to say there is a lot of physical evidence in this case?
I'm going to say there's a lot of evidence. I know there was at least 4 different crime scene technicians working that, and they worked it for almost 4 full days.
So the lack of information given to the public was a conscious choice by investigators. But why would they do that? Jeff Reinick, former FBI special agent specializing in crimes against children, gave us some insight.
Well, in my opinion, the person who is in charge of the investigation is constantly walking a tightrope between wanting to reveal information and get help from people that might have information and not wanting to reveal information that only the offender will know that he did. And it's critically important to keep those things confidential. And by doing that, when they do have a suspect, and if the suspect begins to talk, knowing those confidential things would be a way of determining if the suspect is the actual suspect.
And in this case, the investigators were working hard behind closed doors. In July of 2017, they felt like they had enough evidence to release a composite sketch of the man who allegedly killed Abby and Libby.
When Abby's mom, Anna, first heard there was a sketch, she told me she had mixed emotions.
I just held my breath. Part of me really hoped that I would know who this was and recognize them and this would all be over. And then the other half of me just prayed to God I didn't. in that weird way of that, you know, if this was somebody here in the community that we knew and this was somebody that was here, it was just going to be so devastating.
When I saw the sketch,
Abby is the spitting image of her mother.
it was really interesting to see a face with the body that we had. We knew what he looked like physically, but we didn't know what his face looked like. And so putting a face with it was very eye-opening. It made it really real. And it made it so that there was a person we had to look for rather than a voice that we had to look for.
For the longest time, even if I wasn't in Delphi, I would look at a person and compare them. And it was just like an automatic thing my mind did. It wasn't like I was purposely in a way doing it.
What is that like walking around town looking at people?
Oh, that was terrible. It didn't matter where you went, you were looking. I made so many people feel uncomfortable.
We were at a stoplight one time, and the person felt us staring so hard.
And I just kept staring and staring. And he, you know, he's looking around and he notices I'm staring him down. And I felt so bad for him, but I couldn't stop.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem staring at somebody. I know it's rude. It's not something we're supposed to do in our world, but I have no problem staring at somebody. It's just part of it. It's just, I can't, you know, it's within me now. I got to look.
You feel like you're staring down everybody, and then any weird feeling you get can just turn your whole day, but to nearly give yourself a panic attack or an anxiety attack due to it is just another like kick in the face. It's in the gut. It's hard.
As people became obsessed with searching for the mysterious bridge guy, droves of tips began pouring into police hotlines. It seemed every middle-aged man in Carroll County was on someone's list of possible perpetrators.
Your husband was even looked at some point, right?
Yeah, him and his friends, the police officer that came to the house, he was very professional. But he named off these lists of people, and my husband's like, yeah, those are the people I hang out with, but why? I mean, none of us look like the sketch. None of us sound like any of these people.
Even the sheriff of Carroll County himself, Tobe Lesenby, has been called in on the anonymous tip line.
I've been mentioned as a suspect at least 3 times that I know of.
Whether it's a personal issue that someone has against me, or I don't know, you know, where those 3 separate times where that came from.
But the investigators, in doing their jobs, they came to me. And it's, okay, I'll spell it out exactly the way I have before.
In the hunt for clues, investigators need to release more of what was found on Libby's phone. And coming up, that is exactly what they do.
This video has never before.
I can't stop thinking about her phone and where did she hide it? Because it looks like, from all accounts, that I'm not sure what Libby was wearing, but Abby was wearing like a zip up kind of a hoodie, I believe, with like like the pockets on the side. If you put a cell phone in a pocket of one of those jackets, it's going to fall right out. Like the phones are too big for the pockets nowadays. Does that make sense? So if she would have put it in her back pocket, wouldn't it have come out? And this is kind of graphic, but like if you're trying to take someone's pants off of them, I would most likely go from the feet down, like feet, and then pull, you know, at like your feet. So wouldn't the phone, like the ground, like, okay, if you're pulling the pants one way and the phone is in the pocket, wouldn't the ground kind of catch the phone and take the phone out of the pocket? Maybe it did. Maybe that is what happened. Maybe she sat on top of the phone. I can't get the phone out of my mind. I just want to know where it was at and how it wasn't discovered, you know, how he didn't see that phone. And now that makes me think there wasn't more than one person either that did this, because if you have a gang of people doing this, right, a cult, someone was bound to see that phone. Someone was, in my opinion. And why didn't they look for one? Why didn't they look for a phone? I mean, common sense, right, would tell you these two girls got to have a phone on them if they're out in the woods taking a walk. Surely you'd have a phone to call your family to tell them to come pick you up.
Previously released.
Sending shockwaves through Delphi and beyond.
She was trying to teach herself to play the keyboard, and she would sit down with the music, and our youngest daughter was playing her guitar, and they would try to play songs that they'd sung at church together. And the last song I can remember her playing, though, is Beauty and the Beast, the theme song from Beauty and the Beast. She was trying to play that.
In the months that followed the release of the sketch, and while many in the community had become obsessed with matching the face of the killer to males in the Delphi area, Libby's grandparents, Becky and Mike Patty, chose to engage in a massive and tireless campaign to get the image in front of as many eyes as they could beyond the streets and farms of Carroll County.
Sent flyers, mailing those things out all over the United States, getting teams of people to put them up at campgrounds and different places. We sent them to every sheriff station in the United States. Get it out there. That's what we were trying to do.
But despite the massive exposure the sketch was getting, both through media and grassroots campaigns, months turned to years. Hope again began to disappear.
I just remember over and over and over, hoping and then just nothing.
But in April 2019, that was all about to change. State investigators said that the case was moving in a new direction and announced an upcoming press conference to be held at the Wabash and Erie Canal Conference and Interpretive Center in Delphi. The press conference was publicized vigorously.
It was different from any other press conference for a crime like this that I had covered before, because they did invite the public. They made a big deal about inviting the public, and they wanted as many people here as possible. It definitely felt big.
Once we got in, we had to sign our name, address, or at least location, city, and why we're there.
So that was an interesting part of the process. You don't normally sign in to something like that unless you're there for the president. But they definitely were taking everyone's name.
Once you were in the room, there was an excitement.
Susan Hendricks was covering the event live for HLN.
We just don't know exactly what's going to be said here. Is this good news? Is this that they have someone in custody? I will tell you, Indiana State Police is guarding that easel behind me. So we're wondering if they're going to unveil something underneath that's of significance. People felt something big is about to happen, and people were hoping that it was going to be something positive.
Information's being released today is the result of literally thousands and thousands of hours of extraordinary investigative efforts.
The minute he began speaking, you knew this was serious.
After you hear what we're going to release today, I'm going to ask for your continued support.
And the next 10 minutes were definitely going to cause a stir. Superintendent Carter released 2 new significant pieces of evidence.
We are releasing additional portions of the audio recording from that day. Please keep in mind, the person talking is one person and is the person on the bridge with the girls.
Investigators released one more word, guys, which we now hear before the suspect says, down the hill. Carter does not clarify if that's exactly when the new word guys was spoken, or if it happened at a different place in the recording.
And he said, I want you to keep in mind that it's not 2 people speaking on this recording, it's just one.
We're also releasing video recovered from Libbys phone. This video has never before been previously released. The video shows a suspect walking on the bridge. Watch the person's mannerisms as they walk. Do you recognize the mannerisms as being someone that you might know?
Does anybody else think it looks like they're a little stumbly, like on their feet? Like, I've always thought that, But now that I'm really looking at it again, I'm like, oh, it does. Like, doesn't it look like he's almost like not very good on his feet? I have so many different tabs open. Let me see. I'm trying to find the right one. Okay. So this is their webpage, their website for this. And this is the last, I believe this one here is the last one that they get put out. Are you kidding? I don't know if it'll pop up that way. Okay, it couldn't be open. Let's try this one. Okay. I wish it was just like, can you just give us another second? One more second. Like, see this foot? That foot looks like it's going to go in the other direction. It looks like, oh, let me see. I didn't show you guys. It didn't share. It didn't share. Okay. It's weird. There we go. Sorry about that. Thought it shared. It usually shares automatically. But like, right whenever he's going to take that last step, it looks like he's going to cross over, like his foot's going to go a little bit too much. Maybe he's just a little wobbly. If I was crossing that bridge, my hands would not be in my pockets. I don't know. They would be on the ground. I would be crawling across that bridge. And personally, I've been there, and it's scary as all get out. Like, but it seems like he's almost like uneasy. Like maybe he's getting nervous because, he knows what he's about to do, but I don't know. And do you guys think that he has his hands in his pockets? Or do you think he's pulling up his pants? And I say that because his legs look kind of short. And I know men with shorter legs tend to have to like, I don't know, Vincent's like this. Vincent has like shorter legs. So he's constantly always like, adjusting his pants, it seems like. Not like in a bad way, but just like, he'll pull up like the sides of it just to make sure he's covered. He's a very modest person. So I think it almost looks like that. But it seems like they said his hand was in his pocket too. So I don't know. But they only said one hand in the pocket. And this looks like two hands, like a hand in each.
Remember, he is walking on the former railroad bridge. Because of the deteriorated condition of the bridge, the suspect is not walking naturally due to the spacing between the ties.
Doug
Maybe that's what it is, Doug Carter.
Carter said, when you look at the video, you almost don't even look at the face and the head. You look at the body, look at the gait, the way they walk, because we tend to know, friends, family that's close to us, if you cover their face and show them walking, you
would still recognize them.
And after these two huge reveals, the presser is just getting started. What Doug Carter announces next will turn the investigation on its head.
It was like a punch in the gut. It's like, are you kidding me?
I want to say too, right here, they make this bridge look a hell of a lot longer than what it is. I do want to this bridge it is scary. It's extremely scary. I have a video on it and everything. It's on my playlist. I should just play it for you guys sometime. But this bridge looks like it's forever long. Maybe it is that long. I don't think it's that long though in person. I don't know. Maybe it is. My depth perception is off, because I'm blind in one eye, but this bridge looks just like a little more. It's actually scarier too because there's more of the railroad ties were out, or more of these like pieces of wood.
Superintendent of the Indiana State Police, Doug Carter, had just released 2 brand new bits of media from Libby's phone. But what he was teeing up next was going to stun those watching even more.
During the course of this investigation, we have concluded the first sketch released will become secondary as of today. The result of the new information and intelligence over time leads us to believe the sketch, which you will see shortly, is the person responsible for the murders of these 2 little girls.
The new sketch was what had been concealed on the easel. It reveals a man shockingly younger than the original.
We also believe this person.
And that's when I officially got confused. Did y'all see that guy? I'm going to show you somebody too, because it's going to be weird. I don't know if I should put it in your head yet, but there is a gentleman that looks like this guy, right? That's out there. I guess okay. Just keep your. Let me just actually show you guys because this is kind of crazy. I have to get it in my bookmark, so just give me 1 second. It's like one of these. Not that one. Son of a gun. I got that one twice. This one? Okay. If there's a fourth one, that'd be great. Okay, so here's the fourth one. Now, this is, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm still learning these people's names. This is Brad Holder's son, I believe. And he was dating Abby. But this dude does kind of look like that composite sketch. Now, I'm not trying to plant any seeds of doubt in anybody's head, but this is where my brain was like, what? Like when these came out later on recently, these came out that I saw, I was like, what and what? If you put them like this, I mean, similar, just saying. I think I have a different picture of him too. And then they show Brad Holder compared to the suspect. And then compared to Richard Allen. And, you know, people are assuming that that could be him too. So I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there because I have it here and, you know, I want to make sure everything's out there. But as far as as far as me, my personal thing, I don't think this was I don't think this was multiple people. I don't think it was anything like that. I think it was one person. And I think that person's sitting in jail right now. So let's go back over. Man, I got so many things popped up now. But I think they do look similar. I do think they do look similar. Now, I don't know how this guy looks like the guy on the bridge to me. And I know they said eventually they'll say, smash the two faces together and you get your suspect. But it's like, well, why didn't you smash the two faces together for us and give us a picture? You know? It's crazy. Well, wasn't dude 50 when he got arrested? Richard Allen? He's 51 now. Oh. Okay, I think it's not sharing with you guys. Is it not sharing? I think I think that I think the audio went out for some reason, like all of a sudden. I don't know why I did that. So okay, I'm gonna go back a little bit. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I don't know why it does that. I hate that. It's like a new StreamYard deal. I don't know if it's just like, you know, my StreamYard and it needs like fixed or something. Let me share it again. And then let me make sure you guys can hear it.
Sketch was what had been concealed on the easel. It reveals a man shockingly younger than the original.
We also believe this person is from Delphi, currently or has previously lived here. Visits.
Sorry about that. I got you guys. Sorry about that.
Delphi on a regular basis or works here. We believe this person is currently between the age range of 18 and 40. but might appear younger than his true age.
This new revelation makes the assailant as young as 16 at the time of the crime and completely blindsides those watching.
It was disappointment that we've searched this whole time for one sketch, and now they've released something completely different, and it kind of felt like they're toying with us.
The sketch was a big blow. We did all these flyer campaigns, and we set up everywhere, and we pushed that sketch hard. And when they said, well, we think it's this, it was like a punch in the gut. You know, it was like, are you kidding me?
As those in the room stood dumbfounded by the new direction that this investigation was taking, Carter said something even more alarming.
Directly to the killer, who may be in this room. We believe you are hiding in plain sight.
I remember this.
I'm shaking right now after hearing that. He could be here.
When he said to the killer, who could be in this room right now, what went through your mind?
He's here. I thought, we had to sign.
Yeah, he was too.
And in all of this, leading up, he must be here. And when he said that, everybody kind of paused and they gasped, and we all looked at each other like, you must be Bridge Guy. Everybody in the room at that point was Bridge Guy.
We know that this is about power to you. And you want to know what we know. And one day, you will.
Carter appeared to be almost baiting the killer.
A question to you. What will those closest to you think of? They find out that you brutally murdered 2 little girls. 2 children. Only a coward would do such a thing.
Clearly, you would think Doug Carter's intention in doing that is strategic.
He definitely was trying to get a reaction.
We've talked about killers and a lot of, the different psychologies that they possess. And there's an element of narcissism a lot of times, and a desire to stay connected to the crime, revisit the crime scene, wallow in the aftermath of what happened.
And that attention.
Do you think that was part of the reason for, their direct appeal to him in that room?
They gave this guy every opportunity to get there. If he was going to be there, he had every opportunity to be there. It was a holiday weekend. Easter was just the day before. And we kind of wondered, was that timing significant? He might very well have been there, or perhaps watching it online.
We are confident that you have told someone what you have done. Or at the very least, they know. Because of how different you are since the murders to the murderer. I believe you have just a little bit of a conscience left. And I can assure you that how you left them in that woods is not what they're experiencing today.
I thought for sure Carter was coming off that stage after somebody when he ended.
We will not stop.
He walked away from that podium like he owned it. And I thought,
yeah, he did.
Gosh, Bridge Guy was dumb enough to show up here. He's going to go choke somebody out. That's actually what I thought. And everybody just gasped.
I've asked it once. I'll ask it again. Doug Carter, where are you? Come reassure us. I like Doug Carter.
It was pretty unreal.
Now, okay, let's see. I have another picture, I think, up of Richard Allen. So, I mean, maybe I don't know. Let me see the eyes. Okay, so you see his eyes are like wide-eyed. He's like, and then this guy's kind of just like, not. I don't know. These composites are crazy to me.
But all that
The
said,
composites are just crazy.
After all,
Like the first one, I remember this whole case. Like I need help with some of the details because, it's such a big case. But like, I remember when this first happened, I remember this press conference. I remember listening to all the press conferences. I was really, really into this case. I didn't get so far into it to where I was listening to YouTube though, because I didn't have YouTube at the time. But I did listen to everything that I could.
All of that activity and that emotion, still nothing.
In the turbulent wake of the New Direction press conference, no arrest is made. But the people of Delphi are forced to wrap their heads around the brand new sketch.
Everybody's trying to figure any reason that this is now going to be a younger sketch. Was somebody else out there? Did they see something different?
I mean, all this together just felt like it completely was back to square one. It wasn't, but it felt like it. We were just moving a different way. It was a hard, confusing time, though.
And
I'll take that back too. You know what I mean about this guy right here being Holder's son? Because Abby and her mom, it looked like they had a really good relationship. And I'm 1000% sure that Abby would have brought this guy around her mom at some point in time, if not all the time. So as soon as she saw this composite, if she thought it was him, she would have said something. Do you know what I mean? She'd have been like, hey, that's him. Like and she's a very smart woman. So I take that back. I got faith in her. I got faith in her mom.
now the families were forced to begin the arduous task of publicizing the new image after over 2 years of pushing the old one.
It was frustrating and defeating. I don't know, it just never came back. We're still working on it, but it's still hard to
I don't get the
that
age difference though.
push that we used to have.
And with investigators publicizing the younger image, a whole new wave of suspicion and finger pointing begins.
It seemed to go right back to the initial paranoia.
Yeah, no, they never gave us one with it all smashed up. That's what I mean. Like and I know they'll come out and say it in here, but Doug Carter comes out and says, like, I want you to take the composite 1, composite 2, and like put them together, and that's the suspect. But it's like my brain can't do that. Like, am I smashing the nose together? The eyes, like what, I wish they would have maybe did a third composite. I don't know.
Of when everything first happened back in February of 2017.
And now, people weren't just looking for a middle-aged man. They were looking for men and boys in high school and college.
A lot of people who I went to school with were getting looked at, and that really upset them a lot.
Even some of my friends were getting turned in, and they were saying, "Cause I promise this wasn't me. I didn't do this," because they were worried that because they got turned in, I would think badly of them. I'm assuming, but I don't. I'm glad that they got turned in and were looked into. I love my friends, but I would turn them in if I thought they did it.
And just ahead, despite the vastly different sketch, Becky Patty sees something on the internet that gives her hope that the investigation is still on track. And a breakthrough revelation by police.
There were some fingerprints collected.
Do you know if those fingerprints belong to the killer?
By April 2019, over 2 years had passed since the day Abigail Williams and Liberty German went for a walk on a warm February day and never came home. Harrowing video caught on Libby's phone shows a chilling encounter with their likely killer on an abandoned railroad bridge in Delphi, Indiana. The world had a rare window into the moment of abduction with the video of the suspected murderer and audio of his voice. But the recording was just obscure enough to allow the man to elude recognition. Investigative efforts led to the release of 2 vastly different police sketches. The first depicted a middle-aged man. Years later,
The sketch
they were committing to a new sketch.
is
I think the new sketch came out in 2019.
the person responsible for the murders.
The new sketch that police said was a depiction of the man who killed Abby and Libby was vastly different from the first. And as people were struggling to understand how investigators could be so far off, Libby's grandmother Becky stumbled upon an image on the web that for her brought on an epiphany.
Somebody overlaid the 2 sketches, and that's when it hit me, and I realized they're really not that different. They really aren't. The main features that they tell you to look at anyway were very similar. So then I thought,
Okay, that's
okay,
making
when
helping.
I look at people,
I'm gonna take that back because that helped a little bit with them doing it like that.
feature relayed the two sketches, then that's when it hit me and I realized.
Okay, I'm gonna just look at, I guess, look at the eyes, the nose. I mean, those are the features that I would be looking at. Eyebrows.
They're really not that
Maybe
different.
not the eyebrows so much.
They
but-
really aren't. The main features that they tell you to look at anyway were very similar. So then I thought, okay, when I look at people, everybody's young. So if I was an eyewitness, the person probably would look a lot younger. If I was a young person giving that sketch, they think everybody looks older. So it makes sense that if you had two different age groups of witnesses,
smart,
could very definitely give you two different sketches like that.
She's such a smart lady. She's extremely smart. I just thought about it. Like, I'm not good with ages. Like, if I was a carny, or I guess that's what you call them, like when they guess your weight and your age and all of that, I wouldn't have a job because I'm that bad at it. And I always try to go down in age, but then I end up going up, and I've done that before. And I'm like, oh, I used to be a server, and they'd always say, like, when it was their birthday, guess how old I am? I'm like, you don't want to do this game because I'm not good at it. So I can definitely understand what she's saying here.
But truly, we're still looking for the same features.
By the spring of 2019, the public had at least a handful of leads that might help in identifying the killer. We had 2 sketches. We had 4 words. We had a very short video clip and the still images that could be pulled from that video. I pressed Carroll County Sheriff Tobe Lesenby to see if I could extract any more information about other key pieces of evidence that the police might be holding back.
Is there more audio from him on the tape than what's been released?
Not that I am aware of.
Could you release more of the video?
Hold on. Did she say video or audio? Hold on.
Than what's been released?
Any more information about other key pieces of evidence that the police might be holding back.
Is there more audio from him on the tape than what's been released?
Not that I am aware of.
Okay, because I fully believe that there's more audio. I fully believe that there's at least audio of Abby and Libby describing where they were at, or saying like, why are you taking us this way? Or why are you doing this? Or I can definitely see that because they walked a quarter mile to a half a mile was where they were found. And that's where they were unalived. So they would have had all that time when she hit that record button. Now, the only thing is, was she using, I know she used Snapchat for the picture. Was she using video or was she using Snapchat for the video? Because you only get so long in a Snapchat video. And then it just cuts you off after like, I think 40 some seconds or something like that. I can even do it right now just to see.
Could you release more of the video?
I think people anticipate that there's something, if you will, earth-shattering that's going to jump out at them. They go, hey, it's so-and-so.
That all of you guys watching it every couple of weeks haven't noticed yet.
Right.
I asked him about fingerprints.
There were some fingerprints collected.
Do you know if those fingerprints belong to the killer?
That I do not know.
And same with DNA. You have DNA.
Yes.
Do you have his DNA?
Again, we don't know.
How helpful has that video been?
I know there are still items within that video that are still being studied and considered. And so I still consider it a positive key piece of evidence that eventually will be used in the courtroom.
Is it fair to say it's several minutes long?
It's not as long as what you would think. To say several minutes now.
I also wanted to see if the sheriff would agree that he felt there were so-called signatures left by the perpetrator at the crime scene. But before...
Okay, I had to look it up. Snapchat videos can be up to 60 seconds long. That's if you're holding it down. But you could use the long snap feature where it's like if you press it, you hold the camera button and then you slide over, then you can record as long as you want. But I don't think that she would have, I think she would have been bold enough to hit that and hold it more than slide it over, because it's hard to slide it over sometimes for it to continuously, keep recording.
Before we go there, let's become familiar with what a signature is. Jeff Reinick is an expert.
When they talk about signatures as it relates to a crime, they're talking about behavior or actions on the part of the offender that might be unique to that offender. I think signatures are very important. The FBI has a database called the Violent Crime Apprehension Program, and it invites local law enforcement to enter their violent cases in there with the intent that local law enforcement would have the opportunity to recognize similar behavior from an offender, let's say across state lines or even across the country. And so when you talk about signatures, that tells me that this offender engaged in behavior that was noteworthy by the investigators or by the crime scene investigators.
The former prosecutor of the case, Robert Ives, told us they existed.
He told us that, in his opinion, there are 2 or 3 signatures left by the killer at the crime scene.
Mm-hmm.
And you said you agree in part with that?
Mm-hmm. A crime scene will tell you a story. Just stand back and observe, watch, see what it's going to tell you. That's why evidence is important. Once you put all those pieces of evidence together like a huge puzzle, it can tell you that story. And so, yes, I agree with what Prosecutor Ives said, that there's things that existed there at that crime scene that when the day comes, put them all back together and here's the story it's going to tell.
Ahead, inside the mind of a killer. And could this happen again? There is certainly a possibility that the person who murdered Abby and Liberty is still walking the streets, perhaps even the streets of Delphi. We may not know what he looks like, but we wanted to see if we can get a better understanding of the person he is. We contacted Mary Ellen O'Toole, who used to work for the FBI's behavioral analysis team. And though these thoughts are all conjecture, they are born of years of case experience.
This person, based on the way that he walked and the way that he sounded, he seems pretty relaxed. It doesn't seem angry or seem in a rush. And I think that goes to his personality. When an offender commits a crime outdoors, they can't control everything. They can't control who might have seen them, who ran back into the woods. They can't control who saw their car. So it's very high risk for the offender to kill someone outside. So that tells me this is an offender who's very tolerant of high risk. And when you look at a crime like this, where there's predatory behavior involved, and predatory behavior means hunting behavior, hunting for victims, that suggests to me that one of the motives, and maybe the primary motive, was sexual in nature. But of course, we have to keep in mind always that crimes have multiple motivations for them. Thrill and excitement could have been another one. The power and control over 2 human beings, yet again another one.
What's interesting as well is that motivations can change actually during the scene itself. So if victims react to the offender in a way that he did not anticipate, then his motivation may be different to, now I have to overcome this victim. I have to take back control from this victim.
But I would say right now, based on what I know about this crime, that sex would be a motivation. This person, he takes them to an area around in the woods by the water. that really is very remote, which suggests some planning and thinking ahead of time.
O'Toole seems to believe that this offender is a local who is familiar with the bridge.
Sexually sadistic offenders are offenders who pick the location where the crime will occur and then will pick victims of opportunity, so they're not known to the victims.
The offender may have chosen the bridge because, in essence, it is a trap. Once you cross the bridge, you must come back across it unless you flee through the woods.
When you have someone who's psychopathic, if that's the case, they can do anything they want to their victims, and they feel.
That's another thing that I didn't know when we went there. So at first I thought that the bridge wasn't redone. I thought it was just, like it is when you see it in these pictures. I didn't know that if you cross the bridge, you didn't, like, there wasn't a way to come back. I didn't think about that part. So I would have been like a mess if I would have had to crawl back across that bridge, because I would have crawled across it. There's no way I would have been able to walk across it. Hey, Badger Witness. Hey, Larry. Welcome in. What breed? Oh, so I have a Boxer Pit mix, and then I have a Weimaraner. Very rambunctious dogs. Very rambunctious.
Feel themselves absolutely no remorse or guilt for what they do. When you have a case like this, or a case that, despite the tremendous effort on the part of the detectives and the law enforcement folks that have been working this, when someone is able to fly under the radar screen for an extended period of time, it's generally because they appear to be so normal and non-threatening. The person just doesn't stand out as somebody that is threatening, that stands out as someone that's scary or creepy. They're very normal in two ways. They're normal in their behavior and they're normal in their lifestyle, meaning that they could have a good job, they could be married, they could have children, and in their everyday life, they appear as normal as you and me. They don't go home or back to work and behave in a real nervous way, in an anxious way. They'll go home and have a hamburger and french fries with their family, for example.
So perhaps the killer laid in wait at the bridge for the right opportunity. Perhaps Abby and Libby were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they fell into his trap. Perhaps the girls crossed the bridge to the far end. There was no easy escape. The offender calmly boxed them in. Something in his demeanor set off warning bells, and Libby began to covertly record. The perpetrator never knew she was recording or would have stopped her. He took control of the girls, and he forced them down the hill to the creek. He murdered them and possibly escaped into the thick woods. No one saw him arrive or leave, despite the numerous people that were on the trails. So perhaps this was also the way he came. He melded back into society and moved on with his life, as though February 13th, 2017 was just another day. But to the people of Delphi, it was the day. And coming up, frustration builds, and families are left wondering.
I mean, I really thought that it would have been solved a long time ago. I still don't understand why it's not.
Instead, the people of Delphi are left with the one thing they fear the most. Until the day that Bridge Guy is brought to justice, there will always be a sense here in Delphi that he may be walking among them, somewhere, working, dining, living.
Your biggest fear is that he's going to do this to somebody else. That always weighs heavy on us.
The fact of the matter is he murdered once, a double murder, and he's still walking around free. Is he done? I don't know. I'm not going to answer that. I don't know. But I wouldn't take any more chances knowing what I know now, you know.
Are you confident this case will be solved?
I don't know anymore. I thought I was. I mean, I really thought that it would have been solved a long time ago. I still don't understand why it's not, but you know how important it is for the first 48 hours, and here we're talking about 48 months. So, I don't know.
You know, in today's world, I can't understand why we don't have this guy arrested. We've got the audio of a guy. We got a video of the guy.
You think mistakes were made?
Absolutely.
As with any case that goes unsolved, there is a good deal of criticism about how the case was handled by authorities.
I don't know why there weren't dogs out there immediately. That bothers me.
The police had a bloodhound unit coming in from Missouri to help search for the girls. But when the bodies were found, the dogs were turned back.
The one thing we could have potentially maybe had the canines continue, and there could have been other things they could have played a role in, but
Like maybe tracking where he went.
right, yeah. So, you know, I'm human and I make mistakes and I'll continue to make them.
And another thing that angers some observers is the handling of the evidence and the painfully slow trickle of images and sounds released by investigators.
Watch the person's mannerisms as they walk.
Some believe that releasing more earlier would have helped the public to identify the killer.
They said for so long that they couldn't release any more of the pictures or video, but yet was able to release a small clip of the video. So it seems like they're holding back, and some things that they're holding back, they may not need to.
There are days of frustration where I feel like marching myself down here and be like, okay, guys, so what are we doing today? Like, what exactly are we doing today?
But despite the frustration, there is still hope that police can and will make progress in the case.
I know it weighs on them just as much as it weighs on us and in the community, because their kids live here, their grandkids live here, their families here.
You can look on their faces and you can tell that this has affected them, and they are working.
A lot of the watchers, I guess, of the case feel that the case is cold.
Yeah. In our world, a cold case is one that you have nothing else to work on, basically.
You've run out of avenues.
The trail is went dry, so to say, and that's not the case.
Carroll County Prosecutor Nick McClelland agrees.
It's still a very open case, something that I work on every week, if not every day, and we have full-time investigators that work on it every day. We still have tips coming in and we investigate those tips. We're still doing search warrants, still doing everything you would do in an active case.
I hate waiting. I hate it. But if that's what it takes to get a sure conviction, then I'm willing to wait.
Somebody out there knows something. Even if they just think it's a hunch, yeah, he kind of sounds like that, or he kind of looks like that, but you know, old Joe, he'd never do anything like that. Let the investigators figure it out. That's what they do. That's their job.
There's somebody out there who it is, and when I see them, you know, I won't have to force the sketch. I won't have to force the picture. It's kind of like it just fits perfectly with who it is.
There won't be any kind of, you'll just know.
Yeah, I feel like I will.
But until that moment happens, and as Delphi moves through the years in limbo, the murder weighs heavy on its residents.
How is Delphi different today?
People lock their doors. People probably aren't as trusting. You know, we were a rural, small town. It brought us into the bigger world.
And I've kind of just seen how bad of a world this is and how scary of a place it is to live. And so with what happened to Abby and Libby, and on top of that, I try not to live my life in fear, but it's always the look around your shoulder and be aware of your surroundings.
It'll never be the same. I mean, if you Google search Delphi, that's the first thing that pops up. So that'll always be, Delphi will always be labeled with this. And whether we make good of it or bad of it defines who we are.
Abby and Libby would be seniors this year and getting ready to begin their lives as adults.
Graduation's going to be tough. Of course, there's no dances, no proms, no anything for us. No planning for college. All those things were taken.
I do live every day for them and in memory of them, but as the years go by, it's like they're a big memory to me, but slowly, they're a distant memory.
As the years pass and the memories fade, there will always be a call for justice here in Delphi.
We're going to keep at it. I still believe in justice, and I still believe in good winning over evil.
I have nothing to do but hope and pray and believe that they're on the right track. I believe they'll get their answer.
I'm not going to give up. something's going to turn, you know.
We can't give up hope. The girls didn't give up hope. I think they tried, they fought till the bitter end, and we should do the same for them.
Okay, that's the end of the video there. That's the end of the whole series. I only had 2 parts to it, but I do have some more like documentary type videos that we can go through, that I'm going to put them in like chronological order. That way it's easier for us to stay on track. And then we have read, if you want to skip ahead or anything, we've read through all of the documents on this channel. I have a whole playlist. I just put in the chat the link to the video of when I went to Delphi. We went to the Monon High Bridge. I'll paste it in there again. If you guys want to check that out. It was Vincent and I's first ever going anywhere like anywhere like where a crime had been committed, you know. So it was overwhelming. I don't think I show it in the video. But yeah, it was very overwhelming being there. Tainted a beautiful area, yeah. So much. Like, and when we were going, you know, before Jan told me they had redone the bridge, I was like, I'm going to cross it. I was like, if those girls can cross it, I'll do it. I was like, I might have to crawl. Like, literally, I would have crawled. I would have had to have crawled across that bridge. There's no way I would have been able to do it on 2 feet. But I was like, I'm going to do it. I didn't realize that you would have had to come back across the bridge, though, to get back. Oh, that's really scary. And then they ended up putting up the new bridge. So if you guys do live in the area and you can go out there and take a look. The new bridge is really nice. They've tried to put up a lot more security in the area. They have like solar panel cameras that are like, that's how they work, you know, off of the solar panels. And they're really trying to, you know, fix the area up. Unfortunately, it took something like this for that to happen. Just like in the Rachel Morin case, you know, they're putting cameras out on the Ma and Pa Trail now because of Rachel Morin and what happened to her. It's unfortunate that these things have to happen to people in order for them to install cameras or have any security. I mean, that should just be a given nowadays. The world that we live in is not the world that we used to live in, you know? And the faster that police get caught up with that, maybe the better off they'll be and we'll be. Maybe we'll stop losing so many of our officers, because man, it's like every day. It's like every day now. The family and the town. It's really sad going there. Like, even when we were there just last September, you could still, I don't know, there's just like a heaviness in that town. Tanya, this is random and unrelated, but I was watching Sarah Boone, hearing and thinking about how you want to try to get in there. Get in there. I'm flexible enough. Yeah. Yeah, Badger Witness, I'm very flexible. I don't know if it's from dancing when I was a little girl, like being a little ballerina. But yeah, and Vincent's the complete opposite. That boy's so tight. He's so stiff. But yeah, no, and I think I could probably fit in there. I keep looking at them every time I go to Target. I look at the suitcases. And I'm like, is this the one? Because I don't know how far back the storage mine is, so I might just get a new one. We may need it anyway if we go on vacation this year. Thanks, Teresa, for watching the other channel. We're almost, I looked today, but I cannot remember exactly if it's 1,000 or a little more or a little under, but right around 1,000 watch hours is all we need over on the second channel to be monetized. I was like, what? I'm like, that was fast because of lives. That's why, but after after we get monetized over there, I'm going to do different content. Even before we get monetized over there, I want to do more content over there. Just more laid back content, you know, just different kind of news. I thought about even covering that case, even though it's a true crime case, but the soap opera guy that was unalived in LA, they have like footage or something that just came out, and they're trying to find the suspects. And it just seemed like it was pretty interesting. You don't have to, Badger Witness. You can watch over here. That way you could chat with the chat. Maybe I'll shift y'all over there one day. No, I'm going to start doing some lives over there. So we'll do some just chilled out lives. I wanted to come on and do this live today because we have so many cases to cover. I was like, what is going on? Like, and this happens in true crime. You know, you'll have a week or two where you're like, everything's just kind of chilled out and you're just like, oh, everyone's being cool for, you know, in our sector, you know, for a minute. And then all of a sudden it's like, bam, bam, bam. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cases that we are covering that we need to do updates on. Wait, actually, Rex Heuermann too. We got to do that one for Aries. And I know that his wife showed up with a service dog or something like that to court the other day. Like, what? What does she need a service dog for? Oh, well, she has cancer. I forgot about that. But I thought I thought she was in remission or something. But I don't know. I don't feel for that lady that much because of all the evidence that's come out so far. And she does look like she'd be mad about somebody stealing an iron. Good golly. Oh yeah, we're gonna do Sarah Boone too. I haven't seen it, Dr. Witness. I like some of them I like to do with you guys just so you guys can see, because I'm usually on camera. So you guys can get the full effect because my face says it all. If my mouth don't say it. Speaking of which, mouths, where's Barb? Where's my new friend Barb? If you weren't here last night and didn't hang out with me and Barb, you missed out. Isabel, you missed me. I was in rare form. It was like back in, I said, you got me so heated just like back in April with the Linda Lane camera footage and the Idaho 4 case. Man, it had me laughing. It had me laughing. I don't pass by there, Karen, but I was actually going to ask you guys I thought about maybe going down there and going to the cemetery if I can find it, just to pay my respects. And I didn't know if you guys would want me to maybe go by the home. I don't know if she still lives there. I don't want to bother her if she still lives there. But I did see another creator. I forget his name too. I don't even know who it was, but he was very respectful and he got footage. He was very respectful. And so I was like, oh, that's where I got the idea. I was like, oh, I could go down there. No, Linda Lane. Remember Linda Lane was the cameras, the surveillance. Oh my God. But that was when me and Kelly D was going. Me and her went back at it. I yelled and cried that same live. What a train wreck, DMs. I loved it. People were sending super chats saying that don't worry, Babs loves you. You guys had me laughing so hard last night. It was so good. It was just so good. I don't let people get to me, you know. And if someone comes in and they have questions, and I understand because I've done that before. Like I went into a chat and been like, asked questions and then been like, well, where'd you find it? But it was just like question after question after question after question. And I think what got me too was like the night before someone had said I didn't answer their question and they cussed at me when I stopped the video and answered their question and I answered it in chat. Remember that? I was like, you're yelling at me. Oh man. Oh, Babs. That was a bad night, Isabel. That I was like, I have not been upset. In Nashville native, I can't remember her full name because it's so long, but oh my gosh, she said, I blocked her last week. You guys make me giggle. It just makes me giggle. It like, you know, it just makes me giggle. I said, did you see the link I dropped for her? I said, I think I found the channel for you. And I dropped a certain person's link. I was like, man. And Vincent's mom was in here too. Because I went out to grab a drink and my Vincent was like, my mom's in your chat. And she's probably listening then. Hi, Haru. And I just started laughing so hard. And I was like, are you watching it? I was like, because it's funny. I was like, it's just funny right now. Teresa, I don't know. But man, it was entitlement, wasn't it? I'm sorry for a baby mom. When I saw your thing, that's whenever I was like, okay, you need to come up here, lady. Because I was like, people are getting stressed out. I knew she wouldn't come up. They usually don't. Even remember when T-Rev came in the chat that one night and he was like, blah, blah, blah. I wear a shirt sometimes. And I was like, come on, I said, take the link, T-Rev, let's talk about this. And then he left the chat. He like peaced out. I was like, oh, well, that was boring. That's what I said. I was like, that was boring. That wasn't fun. No, I think that oh man. Oh, the link to BJ's channel. Cuz she was riding hard on, she was like Katie did this, Chris did this, Katie did this, Chris did this, and I was like, and then I had someone in here telling me who I could talk about, and I'm like, are people not live right now or something? It was just funny. T-Rev, yeah. Has he come back yet? Because he was going to come. He was going to put his toes back in the pool, and then smoke came out, and then he was like, "Oop, oop." Tyler Feller, yeah. Cheryl, I had someone yell at me one time because I said something, and they were like a Tyler Feller fan, and I told them, just watch out, and I don't think they watched out. Was it a full moon last night? Well, you would think it was, with the craziness that we were dealing with. It was pretty crazy, but it was fun. I mean, we needed it. Can't let your kids walk nowhere. You can't. Fancy was my name. I love that. I love that name. Here's your one chance, fancy. Okay, now we'll be singing it. Now we'll be singing Reba in Reba's voice for the rest of the night. He did a premiere. All Midwest, that's his way of dipping his toes back in so he can chat in the chat, but not be live. Oh, dirty, dirty. That's the way he did some shady stuff. It's just shady. It's just, and I mean, I thought people knew all this stuff that he was doing. I haven't believed it since the Brian Koberger call. I didn't believe that. I was like, Brian Koberger ain't gonna be calling you. Like, I'm sorry, but what I mean? Come on. If Brian Koberger had the choice of creators, I think he would be picking somebody like, maybe a little higher up, maybe like a News Nation or Court TV or, somebody that's like on television. I don't know. That's on TV. Yeah. Probably. I was just reading the chat. Yeah, DM, it does. Yeah. We do get the occasional troll, but we don't really get them over here, which isn't bad. Yes, I had a troll. I think Betty actually even did another live today, which she did. I'm sure she does a live like every day, but so do I. I think she does them in the mornings and then like in the evenings. But I'm going to jump off of here because I think Vincent's home. I think he just got home. But I will see you guys this evening. We're going to cover, I don't know, there's a lot. Maybe we'll do Sebastian tonight, and we'll do the interview that Seth and what's his face, Tony did with Vinnie Politan. Vinnie Politan did a 43-minute video. So he investigates the disappearance of Sebastian Rogers. He talks with Sebastian's dad. And of course they talk with Tony. So we can discuss that tonight. We'll get live reaction tonight. We'll do that. I'm sure it's going to be a show. But I'll see you guys all later this evening. Bye, Isabel. Thank you for being here. Thank you guys all for being here. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys all later this evening. Bye, guys.